minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Don't mess with the wrong melon farmers. Thug life. And here we go.
I prayed that he would burn in hell, but in my heart, hell has him.
Then I will avenge his death.
Hello, Sydney. Are you The Force will be with you, always.
Wish I had you all alone, just the two of us.
On Halloween 1963 in Haddonfield, Illinois, 6-year-old Michael Myers murdered his own sister in cold blood. But it was 15 years later, on Halloween 1978, that the legend, the Myers murders, was born. Having escaped protective custody, Laurie Strode as the sole survivor.
What's the boogeyman? What's the room where that stupid little kid believes? I totally believe in the boogeyman. I wish I had you all along.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? Hey, Grandma.
I am not your grandma.
Ellie! What the fuck?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Movies and Beyond. Once again, I am Michael, and today it's Thursday. It's a little different day for me to be on YouTube doing a live show, but I have a great friend with me, and we have been trying to do this stream for quite a while, actually, a few weeks in the making, maybe a month, maybe longer than that. Both big fans of Halloween Kills. I have Bipolar with me today. What is going on, my friend?
Hey everyone, super excited to do this because yes, we are both fans of this movie, so excited to talk about it.
Super excited to talk about it. I absolutely love it. Let's see who we have in the chat. We were a little late today. My fault, by the way. But let's see who we have in the chat for today. Jerry Wilson, one of my mods, is in the chat saying, "What's up, everyone? I hope all is well." What is up, Jerry? What is going on, my man? Jacob Ware is in the chat saying, "What's up? This movie is underrated. Best kills out of the franchise. P.S. I'm glad that Michael Myers killed Karen. She was annoying."
What? I actually liked her. She was the one Karen out there that I loved.
What's up, Jacob? Val from Val's Views is in the chat. The General is in the chat, always getting the salute from Movies and Beyond, saying good evening to Jerry. What is going on, Val? Let's see. Who else do we have in the chat today? Russell Dorsey's in the chat saying, "Thug life." That's what I'm talking about, man. What's up, everyone? I smashed that like button before I came in this awesome stream and chat. Happy Thursday, everyone. What is up, my man? What is up? Melissa's in the chat saying, "What's up, Michael?" What's up, Melissa? How you doing tonight? And I think that we've got everyone that is... My Chunky Jordy is in the chat saying, "Hi, everyone. What is going on? What is going on?"
Yes, and I have to sprinkle something in. Go Lions, guys. I'm actually missing the Lions game right now because I want to talk Halloween Kills, but the Lions are playing the Packers right now. I am checking my phone for updates. Let's go Lions.
Yeah, they're okay, right? They're okay.
They are doing good. Come on, I know you're a Bengals guy, but
I am a Bengals guy. I'm
you guys
also
won the Super Bowl.
I'm a Patriots guy too, but that doesn't say much because I think that we're both 1-2. So those are the two teams that are dear to my heart and not doing so hot.
Is it
on our
because you're
side.
a Tom Brady fan? Is that why you were?
You know, so real quick, and I know we're not here to talk about football, but I do have to defend myself when it comes to the Patriots. When I was a kid in the 80s, right? If you wanted any gear, there wasn't Amazon to go to. There wasn't anything to order from online, right? My neighbors growing up were from Boston. And my father was not a big football fan. So I used to go to their house to watch sports. So we were watching the Red Sox, we were watching the Celtics, and we were watching the Patriots. The first Super Bowl I ever saw, I was rooting for the Patriots. It was the 85 Bears beat the living crap out of the Patriots. Bears 46, Patriots 10. I still remember that score today. I still remember that beatdown, but yet my mother still, I love my mother to death, ordered me a Patriots jacket from a Sears catalog that took like 3 months to get there, and I would wear it to school every day, and it was red, and it had the old school logo on the back where they were, the Patriot was snapping the ball, and everybody at school was like, "Is that a Canadian football team?" And I used to have to tell them, like, no, like I was 7. You know what I mean? Like I was 7, 8 years old, and in that range, the Patriots were nobody back then. So I lost with them along, and the Bengals.
Which is a complete flipperoo. So
we won nothing, and then the Patriots finally win that Super Bowl, and all anybody would tell me, because I was a Patriots fan, was the game was rigged because they wanted a patriotic team to win the Super Bowl after 9/11. I said, "Look, we have sucked for so long, and you will not take this away from me.
Let us have this.
Like ever. Like I'm keeping this." And then came 20 years of dominance, and I loved every moment of it. But in all fairness, when Drew Bledsoe went down and Tom Brady came in, I said, "Oh God, who's this guy?" And I was like, "Oh, Andy's from Michigan." You know what I mean? But little did I know at the time that he was going to be, what he was going to be.
Football. Like, I know he's so good, though, that I hate him for being so good. Like, I'm petty. I'm very petty.
That's crazy because he played for Michigan.
I can't help myself with Tom Brady. There are certain people that I have no justification for why I don't like them. I just choose not to, and Tom Brady is one of them. I think it's because I'm a bitter Lions fan. But guys, we're having our comeback. It's happening. It will not this year. We always say this is going to be our year for like as long as I've been following the Lions. But this year or next year, we are going to win some playoff games.
Hey, I can't hate on the Lions too much. Back in the day, I used to love Barry Sanders. So, when you were at that age of like just liking who was good, probably like 9, 10 years old player wise, like Barry Sanders is probably my favorite running back of all time. And if he didn't retire early, he probably would have been, the best running back of all time statistically as well. And running behind a trash offensive line and still, rushing the way he did, it was absolutely crazy.
It was insane. Yeah, we just got a statue of him up, so there forever.
All right, let's see what everybody's got to say about that. Melissa was saying, I was a Patriots Tampa Bay fan, but now none because Brady is gone and I love Brady. Hey, I can't hate you for it. I definitely can't hate you for it. Brady's the GOAT. Jerry Wilson is saying Refrigerator Perry, old number 72. Yes, Refrigerator Perry. I do remember him.
Oh, they call him Fridge.
Let's see. Melissa's saying he's the GOAT. So good and so hot. All right, Melissa.
He's not bad on the eyes.
There
a
it is.
little pretty, but yes, he started young and he has aged like a fine wine.
There it is. But I do want to take a quick moment while we are caught up on the chat. And though this is not an NFL stream, I would definitely be happy to talk NFL with you guys anytime you want to, as well as college football. Go Bucks. I am always about talking,
Hey, guess who's going to the U of M versus Ohio State game? Me.
And you have an extra ticket and your good friend Michael.
I probably could get an extra ticket.
Is it in? It's in Michigan?
It's in Michigan.
Oh God, and it's gonna be cold, and that's.
Oh, get over it. You're Southern Ohio, but get a jacket. Come on.
Get a coat. It'll be fine. Quit crying about it.
Exactly. We pass out hand warmers for babies like you.
I got a chance to go to Ohio State, Michigan. Well, why didn't you go? It was a little chilly outside, and I didn't feel like making the trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's. I could have saw the Patriots play the Bengals the last time Tom Brady was here, and I didn't go because it was cold out. Like it was seriously, I just didn't go. It's like, nah, I'll watch it on TV. It'll be fine. But that's coming from a man in his 40s and not somebody that's like 25. If I was 25, I'd be there with my shirt off, like let's go. You know what I mean? But
do this. Let's crush some beer cans on our head.
Like it's the age thing. But while we are caught up for right now, I do want to give a shout out to all my Patreon members and give them their time to shine on my channel really fast. I did see a comment. We were watching that. My Chunky Jordy comes through and says, sorry, from England, no clue. She's like, they're talking about the wrong kind of football anyway up here.
Oh, yeah.
Football. That's not even football that they're talking about. But, my friend, we did come here to talk about a movie that is, near and dear to me, definitely in my top 5 Halloween movies. And I'm very curious because at the end of last year, we ranked... on this channel ranked Halloween movies, and I am going to do that again at the end of the year, so close to Halloween. So I'm kind of curious to see where things have moved for me because I still have all my lists saved, so I'll be able to look at it and see where the changes were, because I do know that a few things have changed on my list, and this is, even though it was top 5, it might be a little closer, a little lower than it was last year. Does this fall in your top 5 for Halloween movies?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I think my order is like the original, and then Halloween 4 is probably the one I watch the most. I love that one. H2O and then Kills.
Awesome. I think last year my stream, or when I did the stream, I think kills was 5 for me. I think it went original. Shit.
But you
Went
love
original.
2018, and
18,
that's not
yeah.
high up on my list.
Yeah,
so.
18 was 2 for sure. And then I think I went Halloween 2, then Halloween 4, then Halloween Kills. So I think that was my 5 for last year. But I don't know, things might have moved around just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So just overall for this movie, you know, like I don't want to go, you know, scene by scene through this movie, but if you had to pick out, let's say, your most memorable moment, let's just start there. Like, what would be your most memorable moment about this movie that, you know, kind of solidified it for you?
Dude, the firefighter scene.
Yeah,
Michael walks out of the flames.
Such a good shot.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. My heart was just hammering seeing this come. I wish they would stop putting stuff in trailers though, because can you imagine if you saw this for the first time? You had no indication that it was coming because of a freaking trailer misstep. Oh, I wish it was a little bit longer. That scene, it was over. It felt pretty fast, but such an amazing scene. Just how they were all like revving. The one guy's revving his, not a chainsaw, but you know what I'm talking about. And they're all just getting ready and stuff. And Michael's like, come on. It was like Mortal Kombat stuff. I was ready.
It was such a different Michael than what we were used to seeing. Mm-hmm. You know, Michael was stalking Michael, and you know, he was playing. This Michael was pissed coming out of that fire. You know what I mean? And I always kind of say that he was very Jason-esque coming out of that fire. It was just almost like, you know what? I probably could have gone out a window in the back, or, you know, maybe a back door or something, but no.
Yeah, it's not Michael in the shadows in this movie. It's a brooding Michael. Like, he is a freaking powerhouse. And that's just something I absolutely love about Kills, because it ends, we see a total opposite of Michael. I'm not hating on ends right now, but I'm just saying the contrast is pretty intense.
Yeah.
But I just love Michael in Kills. He was amazing. And that mask, come on, that mask was beautiful as well.
It's my favorite mask.
Yeah.
It is my favorite mask of the franchise. And I'm sorry, but it absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's the light. It's, oh God, the way the lighting, and I do have this photo right here. And, you know, he has, you know, fire behind him, but yet the lighting on the mask is perfect. Like, I absolutely love the way this mask looks. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he makes it look good.
Good God, man! Like, by far, like I said, by far my favorite mask. And, you know, not just to piggyback off of you, I love the firefighter scene. Probably my favorite scene in Halloween history. Like, it's up there. You know what I mean? I'd really have to think about it, but it's top 2, top 3 for sure, if it's not number 1. But I just want to touch on the flashback scene just to be a little different. I do love the firefighter scene. Yes, I feel that. But the flashback scene for me had so many good things. Like, it did so many things right. Mm-hmm. You get that scene at the beginning of Kills. You know, we find out Hawkins was alive. The one good thing that trailer did was not let us know that Hawkins had survived. You know, I remember being surprised looking at that for the first time. I was like, holy shit, he's alive. He got stabbed in the neck and ran over by the car, but he's a fighter and he is still alive. You can do whatever you want in Halloween. He jumps up like he needs to die, and it just, boom, you're back in a flashback. The music starts. You hear the sirens. You see Haddonfield, Illinois. You see Halloween night, 1978, and it just looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it really does feel like you're watching the original movie, like how they filmed it, just everything, just perfection. I 100% agree with you. That was my second. I wrote that down, like my favorites. That was my second favorite.
It is so good. And the way that the music hits, it's that old school Halloween music, you know, mixed with, You know, the way the film looks, the way it's the cinematics involved, it looks just like the original. And then the first thing you get after it pans through is this shot of Michael. You know, you get this 1978 version of Michael walking down the alley, and I see that for the first time and I lose my freaking mind. To me, again, one of the best Michael has ever looked, and he doesn't even have the kills mask on. You know, this is old school Michael. The way that the mask is lit, you know, the way it's filmed, you got the darker half with the lighter half. It just looks the eyes. Look at the eyes. You know what I mean?
So dark. And,
it is perfect. I absolutely love this so much, and there's so many good things about this flashback scene. I mean, we could literally spend a half an hour on this flashback scene because there's so many things, you know, that they did right. Let me just jump into the chat so I can stay somewhat caught up here, because they are definitely going. I love when you guys go like this. Let's see. Denisha Lang's in the chat saying, "Hey everyone, what's up, Denisha? Always good to have you here. What is going on?" Jacob is saying, "So where is the Halloween rights going now?" So, without diving too terribly much into this, I do know that A24 has a bid placed on it. I know Paramount has a bid placed on it. I know Miramax has a bid placed on it. And the reason I found that funny because Miramax is the one bidding it out, but they don't own a very big percentage of it. Trancas International does, so they have to bid on their own stuff as well. So it's kind of in a bidding war right now. What I'm hearing is we're probably going to go TV show-ish, probably on a streaming network, but we're also going to go movie. So we might be getting two different things, kind of in the same realm that Friday the 13th is in right now, with Peacock, and then the feature film that they're talking about doing as well. But let me just throw this at you guys. A24 is already working on Crystal Lake. If A24 were to get Halloween rights as well, would we see Michael and Jason? Maybe.
Ooh, finally get our battle.
Maybe.
Go Michael. And then I know you're like, go Jason.
You know, like I'm not saying that's gonna happen. So don't go off and say, well, Michael at Movies and Beyond said they're getting together. No, guys, I'm just saying.
That is a direct quote from Michael at Movies and Beyond. It is happening.
All I'm saying is the potential with rights, depending on who wins these bids, it's not as far-fetched as it once was. That's all I'm really gonna say, you know, about that, for sure. Val is saying Kills showed a side of the shape we never really saw before. I agree 100%, and that's kind of what I was leaning towards when we were talking about Michael came out of there just, you know, fired up and just and just violent, and you know, it wasn't I'm stalking you at this point. It's just like, you know, let's go.
He's not playing shadow games anymore.
Oh.
No, he's right in the light.
Yeah. Melissa saying flashback, fire scene, Lindsay chase, Cameron death. The list goes on. Love Kills. And yeah, it's you summed it up pretty good right there for sure.
Dude.
Jerry is saying lifting that guy straight up with that pick. That yeah.
That final mob fight, yeah.
My Chunky Jordy is saying firefighter scene is my favorite. Nice choice, Polar, for sure. For sure. Val is saying the fireman scene is iconic. It is actually my wallpaper on my desktop on both of my screens here, and it has been since Kills came out. I absolutely love it. Jerry Wilson is saying Michael was so brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael, very brutal. Loved it. He was weak in ends, but I still loved it. Oh, yeah. Val is saying he was pissed when they trapped him in the basement. He was on a mission to go home and kills, and no one was going to stop him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
I have some stuff to say about his house now, though. The entire house is green. Every single wall, every single piece of trim, everything is the exact same color of green. So I was just thinking, like, this is where my mind goes, is that after Little John and Big John get slaughtered, I'm like, so whoever inherits their house is going to be really effed over, because they're going to have to repaint this entire house, because no one's going to want to buy this house because the entire house is the same shade of green throughout. I don't know if anyone else thought that, but I did.
So are you thinking when Michael walked in, he's like, what the hell did they do here?
Yeah, who
What
decorated this place?
That's it. I'm killing both of them. That's it.
Yeah.
It's happening.
My favorite color is yellow.
It's like, hey, they've ruined it. My house is ruined. What have you done to it?
Yeah.
Jacob Ware is saying Michael did what Jason couldn't. He killed 2 kids. Well, you know. Yeah,
Ooh, you need to get on that. I know you got to defend your Jason.
Well, here's the thing. I have a hard time rooting for someone to kill kids. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm going to be like, Jason, you better get 3 of them, just to be better than Michael. So I don't know. Val is saying the flashback was just phenomenal. It was. Really? And we've kind of really only scratched the surface with the flashback up until this point.
Loomis's performance, like whoever they cast to do that was amazing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
I'm not either. I was just when I first watched it, I was like, oh, did they like do some kind of AI adjustments and use his actual voice? But no, it was someone else.
It was Tom Jones Jr. That was his name. The actor that played Dr. Loomis for Kills. He was the guy.
Very convincing.
He was the guy. Jamie Hart's in the chat saying, hello, what's up, Jamie? Always happy to have you here, Jamie. What's going on? Jamie's also saying, Polar looking so cute in those overalls.
Oh, thank you. I'm a big kid.
Melissa is saying, I want Jason versus Michael. Hey. Val is saying, oh, Michael. Yeah, I know you guys are rooting for Michael. I know it's going to be like me and probably Knight will probably be the only 2 on YouTube rooting for Jason.
We'll see. You're warming me up to Jason. I'll just throw that out there.
Okay, I've got some work to do then.
There might be a transition, unlikely, but I'm open for negotiations. So.
Jamie is saying, I really love Uber Michael in Kills. He wasn't.
Like he was transporting? What do we mean by Uber Michael?
So he was basically just unstoppable, kind of like Uber Jason. What he was just a machine. You know what I mean?
I took it too literal. Okay, got it. Because there's always those jokes out there, like imagining not Jason, but Michael driving cross country. It's like, does he take the mask off? Does he leave the mask on?
So you were thinking Uber, like I need a ride Uber.
Yes, that's exactly where I thought. Like that's how my brain functions. So yeah,
I love it. I love it. Jacob is saying, what? When did Michael turn into a robot? No, he's just talking about, the physicality of Michael being like Uber Michael. For sure. Melissa is saying, wonder who would win, Jason or Michael, because both are badass. Yeah, and here's the thing you have to remember, too, when you cross these over. Neither side is going to want their boy to look bad, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be, a close fight regardless of what happens. They're going to want, the Jason fans to be happy. They're going to want the Michael fans to be happy. So, it's not going to be, if I had to guess, there'll probably be more than one fight in the movie, kind of like they did Freddy versus Jason, where Freddy pretty much won the first fight and then Jason wins the second one. So, I mean, that's a pretty smart way to do it if you're, trying to make both fan bases happy for sure. Mm-hmm. Jamie is saying, how about Michael testing out all the different knives in the kitchen until he found the one that he liked? I squealed with delight at that. Mm-hmm. And, that too, was another great scene. And I'll talk a little bit about this before I jump back into the flashback. That was another side of Michael that we'd never seen before, kind of playing with his his toys.
Yeah.
You know, you always see the final result of Michael doing things like that, like with Big John and Little John, how he posed them, you know, and little things like that, where we actually got to see him, you know, leaving the scene staged in a Michael type fashion, to where the guy had all the knives in his back. And you kind of got to see him like a kid, like looking at the knife, and then he'd stab it. And he almost had like that childlike pose after he stabbed each one before he grabbed the other one. And I thought that was actually awesome, the way they did that.
Agreed.
Sure.
I also like how he killed the wife with the light. Like, we haven't seen that yet. Like, using a tube light to stab someone.
Yeah. And Val was saying Phil's death was brutal and Sandra just had to lay there and watch. Yeah. And that's another thing about it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, not only was it bad, but she had to sit there and watch.
Yeah.
That's freaking crazy. That is freaking crazy.
How did you feel about them bringing her back into Ends? I didn't like it because I was like, it's not Lori's fault that this happened. Like, I got all kind of like about it. Like, you're blaming the wrong person here. So
it's almost like they had to come up with a reason why Laurie Strode couldn't be happy and smile. You know, like, she came out of that grocery store after talking to Hawkins, and she was basically doing a little dance all the way to her car.
And it's giddy girl who just flirted with her crush. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, oh, wait, you're happy? Hold on for a second. Let's throw this in here to make it. You have to remember you're sad, and, you know, you're not allowed to be happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Val is saying that guy who played Loomis in the flashback actually had a tech type job on the set. David Gordon Green saw him and thought he looked like Loomis and wanted him for the Loomis part. And you know what? I was actually talking about that last Sunday because I thought that's how it was with this guy. And, you know, with the prosthetics and everything and the way that he looked, it was the closest thing that we were going to get, you know, to Donald Pleasance. And I absolutely loved, you know, every minute of it. Like, the voice wasn't perfect or anything, but it's like, I know who that is. You know, it's not like you've totally casted someone else that looks something, you know, like maybe like the Rob Zombie Loomis. You know what I mean? This is Donald Pleasance to me. Like, it just it looks so good. And even the way he stood in the background in this scene right here when Michael was being arrested, you know, it looked like Loomis.
And that was him shoot him.
Yeah. You know, like, only if they could have, you know, only if they could have done that. But too, you know, at the same time, that scene right there, you know, this one right here was actually shown in the trailer, which was another unfortunate thing that came out of the Halloween Kills trailer. So, you know, we like to talk about the firefighter scene a lot, but we also knew there was going to be a flashback due to watching the trailer and seeing, you know, Loomis standing behind him. So it was just like, I know Loomis isn't alive, so there's got to be a flashback scene.
Yeah, they need to stop doing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of did with Ends. You really thought that you were getting something totally different than, you know, what you really got. And they went for the deception with that. I wonder if that had to do a lot with how much the Kills trailer gave away.
Perhaps, or maybe they just knew that hardcore fans weren't going to go see Corey Cunningham. They were there for Michael Myers. So they had to mislead audience into the theater.
Let's see what we have in the chat here. Jamie Hart is saying Ends was all about misdirected anger over trauma. And yeah, it was. I can definitely agree with that. For sure. Definitely for sure. And I'm gonna stay with Kills for right now. I mean, we could talk a little bit about Ends a little later on. I'd be happy to do that for sure. But the 1 second here. Okay. So, you know, with the flashback scene, and I just want to hit a few more things with this. You know, we got to see the story continue and a little bit of backstory for Hawkins. You know, you got to see a young Lonnie Elam. You know, and the part that they cut out of Kills that you had to get the extended copy to see was just that little scene where Michael was standing on the side of the bushes and Lonnie sees him, you know, and he kind of creeps behind the bushes to the side, a lot like he did in the original Halloween. And Lonnie goes up there and he's gone, and I absolutely love that scene, and I couldn't figure out why they had cut that out. Did you think the same thing about that scene in the flashback scene?
Yeah, I don't understand why they cut it out at all.
It was just, it's not like it took up a lot of time. You know what I mean? Like I always wondered that, like, why would you cut this out? Like, why is this not, like, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. But yeah, so you get to see the backstory for Hawkins, to which they made him a centralized character through this, utilizing a flashback, or at least I felt that he was. He felt that, no, it's my responsibility, Laurie, it has nothing to do with you, it has to do with me. And they kind of gave us a glimpse into why he thought that. So I always felt like Hawkins was one of the main characters of this movie. Not saying he carried the show, but I feel like his story was one that should have been told, and one that should have been finished throughout this trilogy, because I really did enjoy what they had going on with Hawkins, and I was almost positive that he would be one of the fighters of Michael moving forward, because that burden that he had on him, that was so big, and so is such a big event for this trilogy. What did you think so much with that?
Yeah, they set that up. They set up a lot of stuff that I felt like didn't really pan out, because he had a lot of guilt, and he was like, I'm the one like in the scene where him and Laurie are in the hospital, and he's telling her his story, what really happened that night. You're like, oh, this is going to be full circle. He's going to be the one, in some sense, sacrifice himself perhaps to take out Michael, or he's going to be involved. But no, he just was like Laurie and stayed in a hospital bed, which was a little disappointing for me. I mean, I was happy to see him come back in Ends, but even in Ends, I felt like it was an underwhelming experience with him. Like, he could have done more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like they were going to do something, and then maybe they rewrote it. No idea.
I just felt like there was a build up with no payoff.
Yeah.
And for someone that's OCD like me, it drove me crazy. Like it was really hard for me to deal with that, because I was looking forward to what came next. I mean, I think that in Ends, not to jump ahead, but he had a grocery store scene. He showed up at the end to transport Michael, and then he had the porch scene, and that was really all we got.
That was all
of Hawkins, after having that great flashback, and him being a part of that. It was definitely tough.
Yeah.
My Chunky Jordy is saying the voice of Loomis was played by someone else, not Tom Jones Jr. Right? Yes, you are 100%. His name was Colin Mahan. I have the cast list right in front of me, so I don't want to mispronounce his name, but he did do the voice. You are 100% correct. Melissa's saying, I still get from a couple people that you are not a true Halloween fan because I like Ends. I like whatever. Yes, I am. You know what, Melissa? Don't ever listen to those people. Like, for real. Like what you like.
I like Ends.
Yeah. Oh. Those people aren't true Halloween fans if they're telling you
that
you have to. Yeah.
Get it. I'm sorry. I just are passionate about it.
You're right. Go ahead. You are 100%.
If someone's trying to dictate your views, they're being controlling. I mean, the entire purpose of these movies is to not everyone likes the same stuff. Art is subjective. We all know this. So like what you like, that's the end of it.
100%. I 100% agree with that. And I always say this, like when we like to come on here and rank, movies and stuff, you can ask 50 different people and you're going to get 50 different rankings. The good thing about Halloween is it has something for everyone. You're going to like some, you're not going to like some. To me, I've always described Halloween as a roller coaster. It has the highest of highs, but it has the lowest of lows for me. Like it's not very consistent. Like if you like this, it has this one for you. If you like that, it has this one for you. If you like this, and it's just a wave for me, for sure.
Yeah. And if someone likes something I don't, I actually appreciate that because at least you know there's some value in the film to someone else.
Yeah. 100%. And I also like, just to piggyback a little bit on that, I also like to hear why. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a fan of Resurrection. I know you like Resurrection. We've had conversations about it. And it's just like I like to hear it from other people's point of view to say, well, this is why I like it. And it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of see, from that point of view why you like it. And it's not like any of us are to be able to be judging anyone for liking anything. For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Resurrection would have been a good story if it wasn't a Halloween story. Take Michael Myers out of that, it would have been a solid film. But you can't throw Michael into that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there might be someone that's just like, hey, I love Resurrection the way it is, and it's my favorite Halloween movie. I've yet to meet that person yet, but I would love to actually talk to them because I know that they're out there. I definitely do. Jamie is saying, sorry, I jumped the shark bringing up ends. It's all good. It is all good. Melissa's saying it was so crazy talk when Ends came out. It basically divided the fan base is what it did.
Very polarizing.
It was very you had people that were passionate about Halloween and liking it to be a certain way. And I really didn't like Ends when it came out, and I was frustrated. But at the same time, I never bashed anyone for liking it. I could just say why I didn't at the time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jacob Ware is saying Michael Myers versus Batman. I honestly think Batman would probably win that fight. How much prep time does Batman have, by the way?
He has so many gadgets. Unfortunately, yeah, he would take out Michael. I feel like it's an unfair fight, though.
It could be.
I'm going to defend Michael. I'm like, it's an unfair fight.
Michael has a butcher's knife. Batman has the Batmobile.
And all those other gadgets. Unfair.
The Batwing and, his grappling hook and, the experience for sure. Let's see. Val's Views is saying, Melissa, Jamie likes Rob Zombie's Halloween. I do not, but we don't jump on each other about our opinions of those movies. We respect each other's opinions. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Jacob Ware saying 1 day of prep time. Yeah, Batman's got that in the bag, dude. He beat Superman with a day of prep time. It's definitely going down. Definitely going down. All right, so once we've gotten out of the flashback scene, sorry about that. Once we've gotten out of the flashback scene, we move on. What did you think about, we end up in the bar and everything, and we meet Tommy Doyle. We get to see Lindsay Wallace again, for the first time since 78. They bring Marion back, even though she died in H2O, it's a different timeline. So we get to see Marion, Lonnie's there, and they all kind of get together. And what did you think about the way those characters were played? Did you like the performances they had? Were they good characters to you? How did you feel about that dynamic of that group?
So I liked it. I have a little bit of with Tommy Doyle, though. I felt like he was being one of those I'm a tough guy, but I'm not that tough kind of vibes. I don't know. Like something about him, like usually when someone's cast and acts like that in a movie, the audience is kind of like swayed not to like them. Like, this is the D-back of the film, just so you're aware. So like I had a hard time adjusting to the fact that he's acting a certain way that we're used to not liking. And I'm supposed to root for him because I found his whole tough like facade to be kind of annoying.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's me, like him like getting the bat and stuff and like ready to go out there and mess stuff up. I was like, dude, this is Michael Myers. I don't know. But everyone else, I had absolutely no issues. It's just I consistently, like in all of his scenes, I wasn't liking him. Maybe if they tone it, but I feel like that's one of the problems with kills in general. It's like the character development in some situations felt overdone. Even with like some lines from Laura Strode where she's like, he's coming to me, or whatever she was saying in the hospital, so convinced that Michael was after her. And I was like, this is kind of bad dialogue. So I don't think it's his acting. I just think it was how it was written.
And I think that's safe to say, and that would have been, pretty close to the answer that I would have given. I don't think that Anthony Michael Hall did a bad job. I think that the way he was directed, they kind of made Tommy Doyle to be that person, and I think he did a good job portraying the person they wanted him to portray. But it definitely, to me, it wasn't a very a fun Tommy Doyle for me. It wasn't, and I'm not saying that, if you were to say another actor could do better, if he's being directed the same way, I really don't know if that would be the case.
Yeah. No, I think the casting was great. It was just the dialogue.
Yeah.
How they told him to portray this character. It didn't hit for me. He was an unlikable person.
Right. 100%. I do really like the nurse and the doctor.
Yeah,
I
they were
did like
great.
them as characters. When they're sitting there, and she's basically like, "You need to punch him in the face," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I need to punch him in the face."
The doctor she's talking about that you need to punch him in the face is the next doctor in Ends.
Yes,
I just made that connection today.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, "Oh crap, that's the doctor." No wonder why she said punch him in the face.
It is the doctor. And I always like seeing Marion back, and I was really happy with Lindsay, and to fast forward a little bit, and getting to that scene where she picks up that bag of where she puts the rocks in the trick-or-treat bag, and to see that, it's so good, and that's when we start getting into the creative kills that I like so much in Halloween Kills. Granted, we've already had, the flashback, we've already had the firefighter scene, and yes, those were super awesome. But you talk about the kills that Michael had in the car, when he gets in the car and, he kills Marilyn again, he kills her, and she, brings up Loomis. This is for, Dr. Loomis. He kills her. But that knife stab to, I forget his character's name, but it's Michael Smallwood. I follow him on Instagram. He's awesome. That eye shot where he stabs him in the eye. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And there's some behind the scenes stuff on how they filmed that. Because what they basically did was they put the knife up to his eye and they had Michael pull it down. And then they just reversed it, with the film. They just, so it would look like, you can't put a knife up to somebody's eye like that, but it was such a creative kill. And then not to mention the nurse as well, something we had never really seen before. What did you think of those kills?
So I'm just curious. I did not see Kills in theater.
Oh, okay.
Did you get to see it in theater?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when she shoots herself, like, how did the audience react to that?
There was a big, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I wasn't sure if it. So my initial reaction was like, oh crap, and then I started laughing really hard because I was like, oh shit, you're the one person with a gun and you shoot yourself.
And I too wondered, the first time I saw it, like when she jumped out the window, when Michael was, doing his thing, she jumps out the window with the gun. And then she's like all the way on the other side as she comes shooting forward. I'm like, did she just say screw them and then change her mind and start coming back?
She definitely left her husband. And that was where my mind went. I was like, whoa, girl, you left your man. So yeah. She did. I think she's, your fight and flight kicks in. And then she's like, oh crap, this is Michael Myers. I'm running. But then she's like, I can't leave my husband, so she goes back.
That'd definitely look bad on me when the family asked me what happened. You know what I mean? Like that would just be.
I don't know. I was 12 blocks down the road. I was running.
I ran. Well, who had the gun? I did. You know what I mean?
You had the best weapon. But yeah, what you were saying about filling up the bag with bricks, that was genius. Like she was thinking on her feet. That scene was very intense. I did really enjoy it, like when Michael tossed that kid's head at them and stuff, and those little turd kids, weren't taking the situation seriously at all. And then, Michael was actually there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. And I loved it, to get away from Michael, she ripped his mask up. Like that's the only thing you can really do to make Michael let go is for him to start to lose his mask. And then one of the things too, and I mentioned this last week when we talked a little bit about kills, that always throws me off with this is how much was either cut out or they just skipped ahead to where when Lindsay ran and she hid behind that tree and Michael crossed that bridge,
Yeah.
when you come back, she's past the tree laying on the ground and she's bleeding. And all of those people are staged in different places with the masks on them. So it's like, what happened in between her laying there and Michael walking across that bridge? He would have had to come back to stage all of those bodies, right?
Yeah.
And then why was she all of a sudden, laying there bleeding when she wasn't, when she got down behind that tree?
I think she was bleeding because she slipped. She kind of like slipped down into the creek area, and I think she hit her head. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure, but that's my justification for the blood.
Yeah. Okay.
The chat probably knows better than us, so
it's possible.
Fill us in, guys.
It's like, no, there were 9 scenes cut out of that, and these were all the scenes that were cut out. It's like, educate me, please, because I absolutely love this movie, and I'd love to know what happened in between.
Yeah, Michael was all about staging those bodies in this one.
Yeah, and I love the little Halloween 3 reference with the masks too.
Yeah, because the kids had those masks on.
Yeah, the skull, the witch, and the pumpkin. And that was super cool. Katie from Popping the Popcorns come by and saying, hi, friends. What's up, Katie? What is going on? Let's see. Melissa's saying, so used to Anthony and John Hughes movies. Yeah, Anthony Michael Hall was all over John Hughes movies. I mean, he was in Weird Science. He was in The Breakfast Club. He was in tons of John Hughes movies. I love John Hughes movies, by the way. Sure. All right. So now one of the things I kind of want to talk to, and this is the part of Kills that I'm not really a huge fan of, but it kind of, well, I'll get to this one first, was the hospital scene, where the other person, escapes and the other escapee, and he runs through there and, the whole town's in a frenzy, and what did you think of all of that? I'll just tell you flat out, I wasn't a huge fan of the way that went down, the way they did that.
That was so when you talk to people who don't like Kills, 99% of the time when we get down to why you didn't like it, comes out to the mob scene in the hospital. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. And I'm like, absolutely, that scene grinds my gears. I skip it. And that's probably the only reason I like this movie. Like, I fast forward through that scene. I think that it's unbelievable. Like, I can't suspend my disbelief that much because I think it would have been more effective if maybe there was just a small amount of people who were chasing him up the stairs. But the fact that it literally was like half the town and then outside of the hospital rocking the ambulance and stuff, it was far-fetched. I think that they should have kind of honed into Halloween 4. That mob mentality really did work, where there were the hillbillies in a sense out scouting, trying to find Michael Myers, like that was believable. Kills, that was just garbage. That was a huge misstep.
Yeah, I was definitely not a big fan of that for sure. It just felt it dragged on too. It just seemed like it was almost like a time filler for the most part to me. Like I didn't feel like it added too terribly much to the story, other than these townies are out of control at this point. But yeah, I tend to agree. It's just not. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that. But on the plus side, that does bring us to Big John and Little John. All of this is going on at the same time, which are two characters that I absolutely loved in this movie. I thought that they were a good like comic relief. You know what I mean? Like I was laughing through that, and it wasn't like a cheesy type laughing. I felt like the scenes belonged because they lived in Michael's house, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it was just like these guys are definitely goofy. You know
They
what I
were
mean?
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And, first they get, tricked by the kids who later, end up running away from Michael in the, where Lindsay Wallace is and everything, where we just got done talking about that. But then, later on, Michael comes home. I've got this knife, I've got this knife. Like, I felt
He,
that was just great. How did you feel about, those guys?
I just really love that when he becomes suspicious that someone's in the house, he picks up his cheese knife instead of one of the Johns picks up a cheese knife. I'm like, go for the big knife. That was where my mind went for a second. But I liked it overall. I liked it. I was, like I said, I was very distracted by all the walls being the exact same color.
Yeah. Yeah. Val was saying the hospital scene was really showing what was going on in real life at that time, the never-ending mob mentality. I do
Mhm.
agree. I do.
Yeah.
I do. Far-fetched until you think about what happened on January 6th. Yeah, and that's the connection
Mhm.
that a lot of people, make with this, with the mob mentality of this movie. And a lot of people talk about like, hey, I don't like the politics involved in Halloween Kills, and they bring up politics and they bring up, the symbolism with that, and
Mhm.
and to me, I get it, I understand it, and it was just like it didn't really influence me too much on it for the most part. But I get the connection, that
Yeah.
everybody's saying, and I don't know. Did you ever make that connection with those and say like, oh, I don't like it because of this, or
No, I know that's what he was going for because
yeah,
I've read articles and of what David said. But for me, like I am a person that I generally do like to keep my politics out of my entertainment
yeah,
because I'm watching movies to escape reality, not to be forced back into stuff I need a break from. So
yeah,
because I know that in Ends he also was kind of touching on COVID at the time
yeah,
because it was an infection and just it's spreading and that was something else that he honed in on.
right, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I do want to remind everyone, and I'm never good at this, but if you haven't hit that like button yet, please do so. It helps out the channel. Just want to make sure that I say that at least once in the chat, because I'm so bad at it. Like I'm always forgetting that. I'm always forgetting that, but not today. I actually remembered. I actually remembered to say it, so I'm happy about that. But for Big John and Little John, the thing that sticks out to me, not only their relationship and the little comic relief that they provided, there were two things that stuck out to me. One was Lil John. I had a hard time getting past his character Stuart. I think that it was it on Mad TV, where
Yeah.
he played Stuart in his underwear, look what I can do,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
as soon as I saw it, in the movie, I just pointed my finger at the big screen. It was like, it's Stewart. I literally saw Stewart from Mad TV the first time I saw that. And the other thing that sticks out to me, a whole lot with that is the stab in the armpit of Big John.
Mm.
Like that was another one that was just like, oh my God, that's like the worst place to get stabbed ever. Like
There's certain parts, yeah, you just don't want to get stabbed.
that that looked painful. Like I feel bad for him because it looks like, you know, Little John uh got away with it. He looked like he had his throat slashed or something, or stabbed or so. I don't remember exactly what happened to him. But Big John, that poor guy, you know what I mean? Like he got stabbed in the armpit and then he got thumbs in his eye holes.
Yeah.
What did you think about those kills up there?
Oh, that scene was very graphic. Like when Michael pushes and then you see that little eyeballs actually pop out, and he's not done. He's still going. You're just
Yeah,
like, enough, enough. We get the point. So
I'm just like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no. And then also when he poses them, it shows the picture. And then when you look at how they're actually posed, they're in opposite positions, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I would, if I'm getting my eyes poked like that, I'm probably saying something too. Like, please, for the love of God, I'm dead. Like, I'm dying. Please stop it. Like, that's, I, I, I actually kind of looked away for a second when I was watching that for the first time. But it's even worse in the extended edition, which I didn't see until later on. It was just, it was just like, oh my God, that's so freaking bad.
I
For sure.
did watch the extended last night for the first time, so I've always watched theatrical, and
Okay.
yeah, that scene is much more graphic in the extended, much more graphic.
That scene's a lot more graphic, and so is the scene where Michael is coming out of the, before he comes out of the burning house, and he has that halogen tool, and he's beating that firefighter, on the ground before he gets out of the basement. Like, they give you like 3 extra whacks on that
Yeah.
guy's face that it's just it leaves absolutely nothing left, and it's just like, oh my God. Jacob Ware is saying, yeah, that scene was a real eye popper. You are not lying, my friend. You are not lying. So getting to that, I kind of want to fast forward a little bit. I plan on going about an hour and a half tonight. I'd love to talk about, fast forwarding, Lonnie, Cameron, and Allison, getting to the Myers house. Lonnie making, the poor decision. Granny's making the decision as a father. I want you guys to be safe, but I'm going to go in there and last, 3 seconds. He goes in, shuts the door. You hear the gunshots. He screams, and it's like, well, that lasted like 3.5 seconds. Like,
yeah, not long at all, because Michael had enough time to stuff him up in the attic.
Right.
So,
the Myers house in general to me was so refreshing to see, because over the years we've seen several variations of the Myers house, going to Halloween 5, where it's the giant Victorian mansion.
Yeah.
And you go to Halloween 6, where it's a little more believable, but it still doesn't look like the Myers house. And then going to Resurrection, where it's just a little better than 6 was, but it's still not right. To see the, of course it was built on a set, but to see a familiar, I always have the worst trouble saying the word familiar. A familiar house like that, it was kind of a breath of fresh air, for me, to see that. And I was really happy with it. And to watch Cameron and Allison go in and kind of play cops as they're going through the house, opening up the closet, and she, shoots the pumpkin and everything. At this point, I felt like Kills was doing a good job of kind of giving you that little bit of tension to where you're like, oh shit, is he going to be around this corner? Oh shit, is he going to be around this corner? How did you feel when they were going through that?
So I liked it. I don't know, for some reason, this movie didn't scare me quite like all the earlier Halloween movies, because Michael was brutal and he wasn't in the shadows as much. So it was more of a thriller for me as opposed to like a suspenseful thriller. But dude, Cameron should have just stayed in that car. I don't know in what reality teenagers think that they are as tough as Michael Myers, but he just destroyed him. And then the scene where Allison falls down the stairs and you hear those bones break. Ugh. Yeah. I hate bones breaking.
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of get like 2 shots of that with Cameron's neck, and then her falling down, Now, in the trailer, they showed Cameron with the gun, and he looks at his hand and he sees the blood dripping. I do remember that from the from the trailer. In my head, I'm expecting we're going to get a H2O Michael drop down. And that's why,
dude, and that's my favorite thing in
like
the world.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh my God, are we going to get the like slow drop from Michael? Like, is he up there? But it didn't work out that way. And it was good the way that he came out of the closet like that, because it was kind of like, oh shit, there he is.
I did jump at that scene when he came out of the closet. I wrote that down because he came out with force.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many places to hide in that little house. You know what I mean? And he was just like, okay, it's time. He's looking up. And I think that Cameron only got like, 1 shot off or something like that before Michael got to him. Yeah. And it was just a beat down from there. I did like the way Allison came out aggressive with that knife, though. And she like shanked him a few good times before he threw her down the stairs. But like you said, that was just The sounds involved with all of that was just, oh God.
Yeah. Cameron got it bad, like really bad, just how Michael was just slamming his head repeatedly. Oh, and I mean, he just saw his dad's dead body, you know, and poor guy.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that if, you know, he didn't redeem himself through kills, you know, there were a lot of people when 18 was over that really hated Cameron.
I was one of them.
You know what I mean? So, but they spent a good time before his death kind of redeeming the character. You know what I mean? So there wasn't any real joy when he died. It was more of like, oh my God, like that is absolutely terrible. Like that sucks. But when he died viciously. And another great part about Kills is it's so many good kills in it.
It really does. And there's no cutaways because some of the other ones follow. There's one following this one. They do so many cutaways, and you're just like, why? Why aren't you showing it? After Kills, you expect to see stuff. So yeah, Kills showed you everything.
They did. The only cutaway I can think of in Kills, I was perfectly okay with, was Little John's death. You know, where he's like, Michael, you came home, and you see it from the outside point of view, and Michael walking towards him, and you hear the scream. But I was 100% okay with that. Because you got to see the way he set up the bodies after that. But you're right. It was pretty much full force. Like for cutaways, like no, there weren't many of them.
You wanted to make us squirm.
Yeah, 100%. You know, Karen shows up and she draws Michael out. You know, and that was, you know, a scene that was in the trailer, but I couldn't really, you know, make sense of it, you know, until I saw the movie. But I really did like when she was out there, you know, saving her kid, you know, and holding the mask up, like, look what I got, you bastard, you know, come and get it, come chase me. And then that brings, you know, James Jude Courtney's acting in as he's walking, even without the mask. You know, that totally looks like Michael Myers to me.
Yeah,
you know, I think that he looked great. The way the music hit, you know, and just his posture and the way that he was walking was so Michael Myers to me. And we talked a little bit about it Sunday, and it looked fantastic. I thought it was great.
Yeah. And then we go into the mob scene number 2.
We do. And if you've ever wondered what happened if Michael Myers were to get jumped by a lot of people, you actually got to see it in this. And that's always something I wondered as a kid. So what were you thinking going into this part?
Dude, I was just like forward, like, let's do this. I don't know. I felt like I was watching an action movie throughout this entire movie. Like I was eating it up. And I mean, yeah, Michael got knocked down and they were like, oh, we're winning. I was like, he's coming back. And gosh, he just demolished everyone. And it was beautiful.
It was like so quiet, and then he reaches down and picks up his mask, and that music hits, that brrr. I'm just like, oh my God, here we go. You know, they did such a good job with the score and giving you that feeling. You know, he had his knife, he had his mask back on, you know, mask tucked in, that collar's up, and he's just like, let's go. Like I was so amped up. Now I am going to ask you a question to see if how you felt during this scene. First time watch, when Michael was getting beat up, how did you feel like when you were watching that? When you actually saw him getting like wrecked?
It was the same feeling I had when I watched the Jason versus Michael video. I was just like, not Michael. Michael will come back, because I know there's the hot debate out there. Is he just a man or is he something more? Right. Michael to me is something more. So I was getting a little like, I knew he was gonna do his super sexy sit up and just come back, and you know, like I had complete confidence that Michael was gonna wipe these people out.
Now,
how did you feel?
I'm not gonna confirm or deny the fact that I may or may not have yelled out in the theater, leave him alone. You know, I did not want to see him get me. That's like my guy. You know what I mean? It's like, no, leave him alone. Like, I don't want to see Michael go out this way. And I knew that you didn't have a little bar on your screen to know how much time was left, but I knew time was ticking and this movie was almost over. And it's just like, what are we gonna do
Yeah.
here?
Were
Because
you? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
you know that the movie ended shortly after that. Like they kind of sped things up, after that. And what were you gonna ask there?
Oh no! At that point, were you thinking like, "Oh shit, this movie's called Halloween Kills"? Does that mean kills Michael, or does that mean kills the town? Like, were you like starting to like panic in your mind?
I don't think that I thought that far into it. It was more of just I didn't want to see my guy getting beat up. It was
Yeah.
almost like my friend was getting beat up and I couldn't do anything about it. It was just
Right.
like, for the love of God, leave him alone. But then, you get that, and I know what they were trying to do. I was not a huge fan of it, but when you get the everybody's entitled to one good scare, you know what I mean? I'm just like, yeah, he said it,
Yeah.
but it's like, was he holding on to that dialogue for like 40 years? Like, is that something that seemed very realistic? Like, I wasn't a
No.
huge fan of it, but
There.
shortly after that, Michael starts swinging that knife, right?
Yeah, there was so many cringe lines in this. Like, I'm a huge Danny McBride fan. His
Mhm.
comedy is awesome, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. I don't know like what happened in this trilogy, but the dialogue and character development was like so bad in some scenes
Mhm.
that I found myself rooting for Michael. Like, please take them out. I cannot stand them. Like the dad. I know you're cool with the dad in the
I'm
first
cool with the
one.
dad. Yeah.
I know, but like some of the stuff he said, I was like, just die already. I'm such a hater. But I actually really liked Karen. I thought that her, and I'm a huge fan of the actress as well. So like I was a little bummed when she, met her demise. I was just thinking, like, they didn't really kill her, did they? Like, I went into kind of a panic mode of there's no way she's dead. She was the only character that I actually felt that over. Everyone else, I was like, oh, you were just a body. You're gone. Good day, sir. But with her, I actually felt something. And that was such a great scene. I loved it, but it just still broke my heart that she's gone.
Yeah. And I mean, she's out front. She looks up and she sees like young Michael. You know what I mean? She sees the young Michael standing there. And what was that all about for you? Like I had a hard time with that. I don't even think I brought that up last Sunday. I kind of had a hard time with figuring out what the hell was going on with that.
Yeah, so at the time I knew that there was a lot of like theories out there. I didn't know if we were going to go into the Thorn trilogy again and stuff, and there was something summoning Michael, and there's like those theories out there that that specific spot receives the signal. So I was like, oh shit, no. Like that
Right.
was my reaction. I was like, I don't want to go down the friggin' Thorn stuff again. So that was my reaction to it. I mean, it's still open for interpretation,
Right.
but
And that's actually something I have like no opinion on. It's like if someone were to ask me like, what was that about? I'd say, I don't know.
I don't know. Have you ever just been somewhere and just thought like, oh, like I love historical sites. So sometimes when I go to places, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this famous person stood right in this spot, and I'm like, what do you think I would be thinking? Maybe she was for a second just like taking in like Michael Myers at one point stood here.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like a far stretch, but I'm just trying to think of anything except the Thorn stuff.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with that either. Like I don't
Yeah.
want I didn't want that to be in there for sure. But at the end of the day, we focused on, all of this movie, and we talked about the things that we liked and we talked about the things that we didn't like. And we did talk a lot about things we didn't like with this movie, but at the same time it's still high on the list for both of us,
Oh
with
yeah.
this movie. And I feel like because the good in this movie is so good that it makes
Mhm.
the things that aren't that great like not as bad. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
And I
Mhm.
I, I definitely think that with this, it just seems like that's the thing that keeps this so high for me is the great parts that are in this
Yeah.
movie. Let me
No.
see right here real quick. Robert the Wolfman saying, "Howdy, folks. What is up, man? I need to hit you up on Instagram, man. It's been a few minutes since we've caught up. Definitely want to do that. Thanks for coming by and hanging out with us, man, for sure." But I think that that's one of the things about Kills that, you know, it just, that's why I like it so much. And that's kind of how you feel about it as well?
Yeah. So this is like my thoughts on Kills. So
Yeah.
is it the best like Halloween plot? Absolutely not. There's
Right.
a lot of flaws in it. But is it the best Michael? Absolutely. Like that's where I'm not the best Michael. You know, you can't top the original. But as far as like brutality, what we're looking for in a Michael Myers, where you're terrified of him, you know, like this is Michael's story. This is where he really shines.
Yeah.
There's plot issues outside of Michael Myers, but Michael is badass.
He is. He's like the most badass Michael that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I know some people will say, well, Rob Zombie's Halloween, Michael was a badass, but to me, I still think that this beats Rob Zombie's Halloween. And believe me, I just watched Rob Zombie's Halloween yesterday. So
yeah,
he is, definitely brutal in there, but I think that this Michael was put in way more situations than that Michael was and beasted through all of them.
Exactly, because in the Rob Zombie one, you have to grow up with Michael. So if it was an entire movie dedicated to him and stuff, but I'm gonna have to say that I prefer Kills over Rob Zombies.
Yeah, as far as brutality, like, definitely.
And also his appearance, like that mask, we've already went over it. Awesome.
Yeah, it's still like they're gonna have to do something very special with these next Halloween movies or shows or whatever they decide they're gonna do to top that for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still the best. It's got that Shatner old school look, but yet it's battle damaged and it shows what he's been through and the beast that he is to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I had a good time doing this tonight, and we still need to do ends, and we will do ends.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to bring you on to do ends, and maybe we can get Val to come on as well. Val, if you're out there and you would be interested to come and talk ends with me as well. I definitely like to get both you guys on here. We could sit there and talk ends, because there are things I like about ends, and I know that Val really likes ends, and you lean towards the more like it than dislike with ends, don't you?
Yeah, I think that ends is a new chapter. I wouldn't consider it a conclusion to Laurie and Michael's story. Like it should have been a relaunch. But as far as like the Corey Cunningham story, I liked it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that definitely be a good stream. And I'll talk to you a little bit about backstage about the next stream that I want to do that we talked a little bit about. Maybe we can narrow that down to finish up this Halloween season, for our stuff. But I had a fantastic time, and I want to thank you, again for coming on here, man. Like this is super fun, especially to dive into a movie we like so much.
Woo! Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Love talking this stuff.
Yeah, of course. But I definitely want to get, when we do ends, I definitely want to get a few people that really do like ends on here. And then maybe you guys can sway me in one way or another, just I'll listen to what you guys have to say. And that's good, because I watched ends last week, I think. And there are things about it that I do like that are good. But I think my biggest disappointments lie in what I was expecting. It's almost selfish on what I wanted that I didn't get. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of pushes me in a funny direction, because of the way that I've always looked at Michael as being like the alpha and the be strong. And in this one, I have to see him be feeble, and I have to see him be like, I know for a fact that aging is not something you can beat. You know what I mean? I know but I don't want to be reminded of that in something that I love. I think about that every day when I wake up. Like, my knees hurt. They didn't used to hurt. My back hurts. Why do I have to see my hero deteriorated like that and to be emasculated?
The worst part about it is that Corey Cunningham gets bullied by band geeks. Now, I'm not
Oh, yeah.
saying band geeks aren't tough, but they are high schoolers, okay? And they're not athletic high schoolers. They're just high schoolers. And then I'm supposed to believe that this person who's being bullied by kids can take on Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Like, and steal his mask and say, you're an old man. I was like, I literally just watched him destroy an entire town. I was like, they needed to figure out a way to make the contrast in how Michael was in Kills and it ends kind of more seamless in a sense. Like, they needed to progress into it. They just told us, like, he's an old man now, accept it. And you're just like, I will not. I won't.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they always with Halloween and in this story, you know, the original and David Gordon Green trilogy, you know, up until ends, they've always towed that line of supernatural. You know, is Michael supernatural? Is Michael not? And then you get a definitive line from Corey that says, "You're nothing but a man in a Halloween mask," as he steals his mask and goes away. And that was probably the hardest thing for me to see being a fan of Michael. And if if that happens to Jason,
we're throwing popcorn at that screen. No, so I pushed away what Corey said because that's Corey's opinion that Michael is just a man. That is just what he believes. It doesn't mean we have to believe what Corey's saying. That's his perception. Right. So Michael is not just a man. I don't know what's going on. And people still debate, like, when he killed killed the cop, the Mulaney cop. Mulaney, is it?
Yep, yeah. Mulaney. Yep.
Yeah. So when he killed him, it seemed like he like recharged. And there's like a lot of debates on the internet about that. I'm sorry, what I witnessed is it seemed like Michael did recharge after killing him. Maybe he just needed to get out and slaughter. Who knows? And he wouldn't be just an old man with a mask. Right. It felt there was like a huge disconnect between what they were going for in Kills and what they were doing with Ends. And maybe we needed an in-between movie or something to transition it a little bit better. But yeah, these movies contradict themselves.
Yeah. But like I said, you know, I'd love to have people on here.
Yeah, sorry, we said that we weren't gonna do it, but we did.
Yeah, I really want to have people on here that, you know, like Ends, because I want to. I've been on, you know, a lot of panels where people didn't, or if there were panels that I was on where people did, and then some people didn't, it just became a long shit show, you know, of a debate, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to understand, you know. I love Halloween in general. You know, granted, I dislike more movies than I like, but it's still my jam. You know, like if a new Halloween movie comes out, yeah, I'm gonna see it day one. I'm gonna go to the Thursday night showing instead of the Friday. You know, it's I will be there 100%. But it's just that one was a tougher one for me. Jamie Hart is saying that I loved Ends, and that's great. And Val is saying the shape is just a man. And what he sees in Ends of him is what would happen to any human after the beating he took from the mob. Yeah, and I mean, I kind of get it.
How he was attacked by the mob, like those are death points that they were hitting. Like he got stabbed in back of the neck by Karen. He would not have survived that. That's why, like in my head, he's not just a man.
And the thing about it was, too, is after he took all those hits, he got up and killed everybody. And I mean, Tommy like swung the bat at him and he pretty much caught it, broke it over him, you know. And I don't know if you've ever hit something with a wooden baseball bat, but it's not an easy, let alone again. You know, we're
gonna just keep going back and forth. Like we're ending the stream, but we can't stop.
I have this voice in me that's like, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." You know, you got the little people on your shoulders in your mind, like, "Yeah, keep going," and the other one's like, "Don't, no, we'll be here 2 more hours."
Don't take the bait. Sure. Especially with me, I'm a chatterer. I'm sorry about that.
It's good. But I'll definitely contact both you guys, and we'll work out a time where we can get in and just do flat out Halloween end stream. I'd love to do it before Halloween. I think that would be definitely fun to do. But yeah, I had a great time tonight doing this, and I want to thank you for coming by and hanging out with me for sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And I definitely want to thank all of you in the chat that have been very active today. And that's when these are best, is when a lot of people are invested in the conversation, and we get to go back and forth and answer a lot of questions. And I think Halloween Kills do that. And I'm almost nervous to see what the chat will be like during the Halloween end stream, which I think will be fun. Definitely hard to keep track of, especially having two of my mods on the panel. That means, Jerry, you're going to be working hard that day, buddy. For sure.
For that money.
Jerry's gonna be working hard that day. But that's great. Let's work that out soon. I want to thank everybody else. If you haven't hit that like button yet, please do. It helps out the channel. And I'll definitely see you guys next time. Is there anything else that you want to add, Paula?
No, I'm set. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
All right. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.